lifestyle has caught fire, and we talk about the rewards and challenges of it. This is the Wandering Worker Podcast with Matt Lloyd.
Yes, I am Matt Lloyd. That is me. I am the host of the Wandering Worker Podcast. You know, believe it or not, when everyone started working remotely at scale a few years back after COVID, you remember COVID, Steve?
I do.
We fully embraced that idea, did we not?
We did.
We did. We're big proponents of it. So listen, if you have questions or topics you want to discuss, hit us up at our website, thewanderingworkerpodcast.com. This show is also powered by our company, Magic Apple Technology, where we've been saving good businesses from bad phone systems since 2008. Which reminds you, we're going to be coming up on 15 years here pretty soon, so we're kind of pumped about that. Today, our guest is Magic Apple's very own General Manager Extraordinaire, Mr. Steve Mars. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you are here, my friend. So I want to just kind of talk a little bit today about you, a little bit about your history. Tell us about, all the many years you've been in telecom.
Okay. That sort of sums it up.
Yeah, it does. and then we're going to talk about, your experience with coming to the office every day, and then
Right.
that change of, working from home and what you've thought about it, how that's worked out for you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started in all this telecom stuff?
Well, let's see. My background is out of high school, associate's degree in electronic technology, and just so happened to be lucky enough to be able to school I went to for my associates found a job in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of how I got started. Actually started work for a company called Northern Telecom.
I've heard of them.
That was back in, like I say, that was back 78, 79.
Yeah.
And from there, went into a sound, Pro Sound.
Yeah.
From little telecom to Pro Sound. And that's where I actually got my start in Larry Featherstone. Mm-hmm. Which was working at a company called Allied Sound. Yeah, and decided he wanted to start a company, and I think that decision was made when we were hanging off a 100-foot tower. And it's like,
maybe I don't want to do this anymore.
Not a bad idea. It's like that was my first experience on a tower up, for putting in. Television for a school, MATV. Yeah. And I didn't like hanging off of that tower either. So, or we also built scaffolding for Pro Sound in churches. Oh, and that was hard too.
Oh, I bet.
OSHA might have not been completely pleased with all that. From there, Larry Featherstone started a company called Nashville Telecom. Yeah. And that's how I got my start back. I won't say that was 83.
And that was really back because, before that, all telephone, anything was all under Ma Bell, man. It was all AT&T.
That's true.
You had to reach out to them and they had to come do it. And then they kind of broke apart the equipment side of things. That's right. And allowed companies like Nashville Telecom to come in and start selling phone systems, right?
And that's sort of how we got started. It was your sales pitch then was, hey, you can do telephones? I thought it was just Ma Bell.
Yeah, you don't have to call the big boys anymore. We can take care of it.
And I'm not sure that selling might have not been easier then because you were because you were taking over these contracts that they've been paying, forever and ever for. In some ways it was hard, some ways it was easier because it was, a way for a lot of companies to save some money and not have to work with the big companies.
And you worked with that company, and I think they changed names at some point, but you worked with that company for quite a while.
I was with Nashville Telecom / changed to Tennessee Business Communications for 36 years.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's commendable to say the least, man. I mean, people don't have that kind of stick to it-ness. That's the word I'm looking for anymore. So that's very commendable.
Well, it was, of course, started with Larry, and I was one of his first employees. And I had, like I say, I had an associate's degree. Didn't really use my electronic background per se, but telecom was easy enough for me to pick up with, I have the story too with back in the days when I first started. There was a lot of the big wires.
Yeah.
Might have been a little colorblind, which was an obstacle.
I would imagine
at the time it was like you're not maybe in the right business here. Yeah. So, but anyway, I overcame that, and here I am. Almost 40 years later.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
so tell the story of how we met.
Well, Magic Apple, had interest in purchasing Tennessee Business Communications, and not really that I knew at the time that was going to happen. Long story there.
Yeah,
but,
best for another time.
But yeah, absolutely. But anyway, that purchase happened. And, like being with a company for 30-something years, it definitely was a scary move.
Oh, I imagine.
It was like, okay, how are these guys going to do?
Yeah.
But it just so happened that Magic Apple was really on the cutting edge of cloud-based, VoIP-based platform, which I hadn't done a whole lot of.
Yeah.
And, that was fantastic. It really was. Once you sit back and looked at it, it was going to be the move I needed to make.
Yeah.
To be able to continue on with my career.
Yeah, I think timing was really, really good there. I mean, and with that acquisition, Magic Apple was lucky enough to get you and Nick, our main install technician, and you guys have been working together for 20-something years. And the knowledge you have, I mean, the salespeople refer to Steve as Don Draper. He's the talent. You bring him in, you don't, he's you treat him nice, treat him kind, bring him in to make the deal look good, to make our customers and prospects feel like, hey, these guys know what they're talking about, because you can lay some knowledge on people.
I guess I can.
Yeah,
sometimes
you sure can.
I sort of take that for granted, and but yeah, it's comfortable to me, to be able to, and I love doing that.
Let's talk about your experience with the idea of remote work, because you've been used to for 40-something years or 30-something years of, hey, I get up in the morning, I have my routine, I go into the office, this is what I do, and then we get over here at Magic Apple, COVID hits. And we, as I say in the intro, we embrace this idea of not having to come to the daggum office all the time. And a lot of that sparks from the fact that I'm super lazy and like working from home. And Jeremy also is super lazy and likes working from home. He's not. We're both very hard workers. We just like to work hard in our underwear.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how this has worked for you, because I know when we first started doing this, you really didn't want to work from home. You wanted to come up here.
Well, first of all, we've got a fantastic office. That we've invested quite a. If you've seen our office on our website or whatever, but it's a great place to. It's a good atmosphere.
Sure.
And last thing I was thinking about was working remotely, and but now I've sort of fell in love with it. Like this morning. Just take this morning for example. It was okay. We had a support meeting at 9:00. I was running a little bit behind, so I said, you know what? I'm just going to I'll do the support meeting remotely, and then I can come on into the office, which worked out fantastic.
So not to interrupt you, but to interrupt you, the part that's unique about that is you didn't have to plan for that decision. You just made that decision on the fly, and it did not affect or bother your day in the least.
And I may have had a shirt on or may have not had one. So just FYI.
No, I wish I'd have been in that
Just
one.
FYI on that. You do if you're behind the phone or whatever. Who cares what you're wearing for sure.
Yeah, we haven't shared your nickname in the office. Shirtless Steve is the nickname.
But yeah, it's and with our tools, big thing is having the tools.
Yeah.
Working remotely, and that's with our platform that we have for Magic Apple, we've got everything you could imagine.
Right.
As far as, do I want a desk phone? Do I want to use my PC for my phone? Do I use my cell phone with my soft phone app on it? So many different options.
The tools are definitely a key feature to making this whole idea of remote work life happen.
Right, and nobody ever knows where you're working from. That's not even a question. Are you working remotely? They don't know.
Yeah,
and because the call quality is fantastic, and so as long as you got internet at the house
Yeah.
or wherever you're at, remote is going to work great. So yeah, Matt, just to let you know, from here on out, I'm probably going to work remote most of the time.
No, it's we're fine with that. That's okay. It's good.
But
so tell me a little bit about, like, you'd said that when you first started, you weren't all that excited about it, but then what was that turning point for you of, man, I like this now. I'm just going to work more than I have been.
I think it was just the heat, or that's not a good word, just taking the pressure off of having to, every morning, having to get up. Hey, let's get a shower right quick. Let's get everything done. Let's get to the office. And that takes a lot of pressure off of you to be able to do that. Realistically, I can start, instead of, and thank you, Magic Apple, for giving me the opportunity. I don't always have to be here at 8:00.
Right.
I could be here at 9 because I work a lot of different hours. But now, remotely, I started before 8. So I'm working more now that I think about it, working remotely.
So what I'm hearing there is that, and tell me if I'm wrong, you're getting more done, you're being more productive,
right,
and enjoying the fact that you don't have to come to the office.
Absolutely.
So I'm not hearing a lot of negatives about this idea.
Actually, Magic Apple's probably getting more ahead with me working remotely the more I think about it. Absolutely.
Awesome.
And lunch. Where's lunch? Lunch usually is at the house, and
Wait, could that be like you making food, maybe a little healthier food than fast food or something? Maybe
definitely so. Yeah,
so maybe some health benefits in there too.
Something in the refrigerator that's healthy. I've sort of grown accustomed to it, and as long as you're not putting Magic App's not putting pressure on me to have to be here. There is times that we need to be here.
Sure.
We have a lot of meetings, but those meetings can be done remotely, of course. But it's very convenient for me now, and I'm liking it much more.
Good,
for sure.
I'm glad. It's because I could totally tell. Because when we first started doing this, I was like, why didn't Steve ever want to work from home? And now it's like, where's Steve? Oh, he's working from home today.
I didn't know that you were thinking that. So yeah,
well, because we did, because we were like, we let everybody go work from home, and you were just like, I like to go up to the office, even during COVID. Right. You liked coming up here, even if you were the only one here, because we were an essential business, we weren't shut down or anything, and you would come up here and work, because I think you were used to that. That was your routine.
I was, and I was also trying to make Holly happy too. No.
Of actually using the office.
We need to get a little used out of the office because we do pay a high rent on our office.
Yeah, we do, so, and it's only going to go up from here. I imagine. So, so cool. Well, let me ask you this. We'll kind of end on this last thing. What bit of piece of advice or any kind of thing that you might want to throw out there for somebody that is thinking about working remotely or has the opportunity to, but is hesitant about it?
Well, I mean, especially if you're working with Magic Apple, we definitely can make that happen, very easily. I mean, it's just, the first question we asked, do you have internet at the home? And most people who does not have internet at the house now. So everybody's a candidate, and it's, so, I mean, there's nothing hard about it at all.
Yeah.
We have Magic Apple has, I think a lot of people might think, well, how do I hook up my phone?
Yeah.
And there's many ways that can be done.
Sure.
But Magic Apple even has a Wi-Fi phone. That you just bring into your home, plug it up to the power, and you have, as long as you've got Wi-Fi in your home, you could use actually a physical phone on your desk or at your house.
Nice.
So it's very, very easy to accommodate, and you can if you want to carry your phone home with you. It's not a problem at all.
Good deal.
That, so.
Good deal. Well, Steve, thank you for everything you do at Magic Apple.
You're welcome.
We appreciate your effort, your knowledge. Don Draper is here, and Don Draper is about to leave the building and go back home and work remotely.
Thank you, Magic Apple.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. This has been the Wandering Worker Podcast. I am Matt Lloyd, and it is sponsored by Magic Apple, where we save good businesses from bad phone systems. Thank you. See you next time.
work lifestyle has caught fire, and we talk about the rewards and challenges of it. This is the Wandering Worker Podcast with Matt Lloyd.